Everyone's ready to go? Can you hear me pretty well? All right. My name is Raj Singh. I'm one of the Incident Public Information Officers for the South Central Sierra Incident Management Team. First of all, thank you for everyone attending our press conference. Some notes in the beginning, please turn your cell phones off. And then if you have any questions, please wait to the end. We have several speakers, and we hope to answer all the questions you have through our speakers. And at the end, if there are any specific questions, we'll direct them to the appropriate agency or spokesperson for that. And then we'll also have folks standing by after the press conference that you can speak to directly if you need to. So I'd like to start off with Supervisor Farr from the Santa Barbara County, Thank you.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for being here today. My name is Doreen Farr. I'm currently the Vice Chair of the Santa Barbara County Board of Supervisors, and I also specifically represent the area where the Sherpa fire is now burning. At 10:10 a.m. today, the county proclaimed a local emergency due to the extreme fire behavior and its potential impacts. Fire commanders and first responders continue the firefighting effort with full force, and fortunately, no lives have been lost or injuries have occurred. Further, no residences have been lost. Unfortunately, there has been damage to agriculture, and that assessment of the damage is underway right now. Due to the continued evacuations in place, the very real potential for additional evacuations, also the potential for further damage to agriculture and natural resources, the need for a local emergency is necessary. This proclamation will allow that all county resources are available for the fire control efforts, and it will also provide the foundation in the event that further evacuations or damage occurs, and there is a need for a request to the governor for a state declaration of emergency, which would provide further resources. The county and all our partners continue to make safety our first priority as we fight this fire and protect residents and critical facilities. There are important steps the public can and should take. With quickly changing conditions, it is important to monitor the county's website, countyofsb.org. The local public can also call 211 for updated information. This line can provide information about road closures, evacuations, and other impacts. If you are outside of the county, you can call 1-800-400-1572 to reach the same 211 line. And if you haven't done so already, I would strongly encourage everyone to sign up for alerts at awareandprepare.com. You can see that over there, because if we don't know where you are, we can't alert you. So in closing, on behalf of the entire Board of Supervisors and the people of Santa Barbara County, I want to sincerely thank all of our first responders and county staff that are involved. We are extremely fortunate to have so many partners fighting this fire with us. Thank you very much.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Robert Lang. I'm one of the federal incident commanders in this Unified Command effort.
My name's Paul Van Gerwen. I'm a CAL FIRE Unified IC.
I'll start off with a quick update here. Currently, the fire is about 4,000 acres with about 5% containment. The cause is under investigation, and we have about 1,230 firefighters working on the incident. Over the past few days, the interagency effort has protected the oil refinery, the railroad, and several campgrounds. Highway 101 has been impacted several times when the sundowners surface, but when they do surface, our offensive opportunities are extremely limited, and we need to fall back on more of a defensive strategy. Our defensive strategy will continue to emphasize the protection of life and property while we look for a place to turn the corner and push this back up into the mountains and get full containment.
And not to repeat what several speakers are going to talk, I'm just here emphasizing our support for all of our cooperators, Los Padres National Forest, as well as Santa Barbara County Fire Department, and all the other various cooperators that are going to be here. Stand here and support. That's my message.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Erik Peterson, Santa Barbara County Fire Chief. Now there are over 1,200 people working here, many of whom who have come very long distances to help us. Some from all over the state, some even from out of the state. Most of the people out on the line now have been working long hours under difficult conditions with very little sleep. And although this fire has more than doubled in size in the last 24 hours, there's been only minor structural loss and no civilian or firefighter injuries to speak of or report. I just want to say that all of us in Unified Command appreciate the supreme effort that our firefighters are out there putting out. And now I'd like to hand it over to Sheriff Bill Brown.
Thank you, Chief. My name is Bill Brown. I'm the Sheriff of Santa Barbara County. Here to just tell you about some developments that have taken place and to re-emphasize a few points that were made the other day in terms of our evacuation areas, both mandatory and warning. The development that I want to inform you about is at 1:45 a.m. this morning, we issued 11 more emergency notifications. These were sent out to the El Capitan Ranch Equestrian Center, and it was an area that was brought into the expanded mandatory evacuation area. I want to emphasize that this is still a very dynamic fire situation, and we do not want residents who are living in or adjacent to this area to be complacent. Even though conditions may appear to have become better during the day, the reality is that things can change very rapidly and do change very rapidly in the evening, and we do not want our residents to have a false sense of security. Residents need to adhere to evacuation orders if they are made. We do not evacuate areas unnecessarily or lightly, and if you are given the order to evacuate, that means that you are in a location where there is an imminent or existing threat to life or property, and you need to leave that area immediately. Just to be clear, there are areas where there are mandatory evacuation orders where no one should remain, and there are areas where there are evacuation warnings where people should be prepared to evacuate. No one should be in the evacuation areas except for public safety responders. And we provide roving patrol with our deputies to protect those areas as well, but they are sealed off areas at that point. Right now, the mandatory evacuation areas include Refugio Canyon, Refugio State Beach, Venadito Canyon, El Capitan Ranch, El Capitan State Beach, and El Capitan Canyon. For the most part, residents in those areas have been very compliant with the evacuation orders. We have had some residents who have refused to leave, and we caution you again that not complying with a mandatory evacuation order is something that is done at your own peril and could result in injury or death. We ask anyone who is in those areas to please cooperate with the evacuation order. If you are in an evacuation warning area, it means that there is a strong likelihood that you are in a location where there could soon be a threat to life or property, and you need to be prepared to evacuate at a moment's notice. This does not mean waiting until you're given the mandatory evacuation order to get prepared. If you are in an evacuation warning area, you should have a plan for yourself, for your family members, for your pets. You should gather your valuables and your irreplaceable items in your home, any prescription medications that you have and so forth, and be prepared to leave again at a moment's notice. Currently, there is an evacuation warning in place east of El Capitan Canyon, all the way up to and including Farron Road. And the area includes Cañada de la Destiladera, the Las Lagas Canyon, Gato Canyon, Las Varas Canyon, Dos Pueblos Canyon, and Eagle Canyon. And I want to also talk about the area west, at the west end of Goleta that hasn't been yet placed in an evacuation warning area due to the proximity of the fire, but nevertheless, we do want residents who are living in that area, in the vicinity of El Capitan to the west, to also be thinking about what items they would want to save if they were ordered to leave quickly. Don't wait until the last moment to be prepared. Now is the time to be doing so, just in case. We're also getting a number of questions about how many people have been evacuated. And due to the unique area that's included in the mandatory evacuation zone, we really are not able to give you an accurate number. The area is made up primarily of ranch and ranchette homes, wilderness areas, campsites, campgrounds, adjacent to the beach and so forth. What we can tell you is that emergency mandatory evacuation alerts were sent to more than 400 telephone lines in the area. And again, we've had, for the most part, very good cooperation and response from residents in those mandatory evacuation areas. We will continue to keep you updated, and again, we ask that any evacuation orders be complied with and that anyone in the evacuation warning or adjacent areas be prepared to plan ahead. Thank you.
Hi, good morning. My name's Robert Baird. I'm the Forest Supervisor for the Los Padres National Forest. I think the acknowledgement of the county declaration of emergency, state of emergency, acknowledges the challenges we're facing here. There's been a lot of heroic actions of the firefighters in protection of those structures. As the federal partner to the county, we're in this in unified command. There's been over 500 federal wildland firefighters that have been brought in to augment these efforts here out of the total of 1,200. We also have a significant portion of the federal air tanker fleet and the aviation resources that come from throughout the United States. We have two of the largest air tankers have rotated onto the fire, the very large air tankers, the DC-10s. They provide a significant capability to those men and women on the ground fighting the wildfire. We also have 6 large air tankers as well as 13 helicopters currently assigned to the fire. And those numbers vary depending on the situation as we rotate crews in and out. But that's approximately what we have for aviation resources. We're leveraging the air tanker base at Santa Maria, which has been a tremendous capability, so we can reload the aircraft and get them back to the wildfire as fast as possible. We've also brought in the night air attack and night water dropping helicopters, which is a unique capability the Forest Service has, as well as Kern County has brought up their aviation resource that does night flying helicopters. So in cooperation, we stand with the county in this state of emergency, and we're prepared to do what's needed to deal to this emergency. The forest has also gone into fire restrictions. We went into fire restrictions Monday, and we asked that you get that out to the public. The last thing we need is another wildfire to start for some careless actions that may happen in the public. The weather situation is going to continue to be a challenge as we deal with this wildfire, and we ask that you get the word out about the fire restrictions on the forest as well as other areas. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Erik Boal. I'm the Warning Coordination Meteorologist for the National Weather Service, last name spelled B-O-L-D-T. To give you an idea of what the weather has been doing the last couple of days at the fire location, it's been very typical for the south coast of Santa Barbara. We've had highs in the 70s, humidities mainly in the 40s, and then we've seen the sundowner winds that pick up in that region each evening. You can pretty much set your clock by it. About 5 o'clock in the evening, the winds start to pick up. And we've seen winds of 40 to 50 mile per hour wind gusts fan the fire in the last couple of nights. Unfortunately, we are predicting a heat wave. So tomorrow we ought to start to see temperatures increase. We should then be seeing readings in the 80s, and that means a little drier on the humidity. We do expect winds to pick up again tonight, very much like the last couple of nights, just to backtrack there a little bit. So this evening, the winds will be very similar to what we saw yesterday. And then tomorrow, the higher temperatures. Sunday, we ought to be seeing temperatures push into the 90s, especially if we get up in the foothills and the mountains. And then by Monday, we are expecting a peak in this heat wave. That's when we can see 90s right down here to the ocean and 100 degrees plus up in the mountains on Monday. At that point, our humidities could be some of the lowest values, pushing down to around 10% near the fire. We will see the winds each evening. Right now, that could be very similar like we've seen the last couple of nights, right through Monday night. By Tuesday, we start to see a swing around of onshore winds, which means a little cooler conditions, higher humidity is starting to move in, but it will still be very warm and above normal for this region. So we are working closely with the Incident Command Post to provide weather support. We do that by providing a spot weather forecast for the incident. And then later today, we'll have an incident meteorologist arrive to be working with the Incident Command around the clock. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon. My name is Lieutenant Steve Larson, L-A-R-S-O-N, and I represent the Santa Barbara Area CHP office. The good news, 101 is open. The bad news is that we've closed it now twice in the last 2 nights. So again, I need you to let the motoring public know that there's probably going to be more closures. You just heard the briefing from the weather person, and we're probably going to be in for another night of high wind and so forth, which is going to close. I was actually on scene last night and saw some of the fire tornadoes, and I tell you what, it's no joke. And I actually had to hand stop some folks to keep them out of it, and it was off the hook. So anyways, there's probably going to be some more closures. We definitely need to press to get the word out to everybody that, you know, you may want to change your travel plans if you're going through Santa Barbara late at night, because you might have to be redirected to another alternate location. And again, just talking about our closures, we closed the southbound lanes at Mariposa Arena, which is just north of here. That's kind of the last off-ramp that we have before the fire. And if you're coming northbound, that's going to be at the Winchester Canyon location, which is just outside of Goleta. So those 2 locations have been working pretty well. We're going to readjust as the fire moves and that kind of thing, but right now that's been working pretty well. Now, if you get caught on either side of those closures, those folks are going to have to go to Highway 154, and if you're coming southbound going through Buellton, you're going to have to take 246 and then hit 154 to take into Santa Barbara. If you're coming up from the LA area, you'll have to take 154, and I'll get you around the fire too. And you can stay on 154, and that comes out at 101, or you can take 246 into Buellton. Again, I just want to say the CHP, the Santa Barbara area, is in constant communication with all the fire agencies and with the Sheriff's Department in opening and closing these roads. I mean, we have people, I'm on scene just to monitor the fire and make sure that all of our folks are safe, along with the public. All of our decisions have been based on public safety. Okay, so we're not closing these roads because we feel like it. It's like right now, everything's fine, we're not going to close the road. But again, public safety. And the Habitrol, of course, we want to provide the people of the state of California the highest level of service. So thank you very much.
Good afternoon. My name is Erik Gelstrim. I'm the superintendent in charge of the Santa Barbara sector of California State Parks. Refugio and El Capitan state beaches are part of my area of responsibility. As you know, last night this fire took a very fast run down El Capitan Canyon, and unfortunately right at the top of that canyon is where the water treatment plant is for El Capitan State Beach. All the water at that park comes from that plant, and that plant was burned down last night. So my staff is currently assessing the damage and working on coming up with a response plan. I don't have details now, but I can tell you the reservation cancellations at El Capitan State Beach are very likely to be extended. At this time, we're updating our information as quickly as possible to all of our websites, State Parks and Reserve America, and we're going to do the best we can to get these parks back open once the evacuation is lifted. State Parks will continue to stand unified with Unified Command in protecting public life, property, and protecting natural and cultural resources. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Arlen Janae. I'm the director of the Santa Barbara County Air Pollution Control District. And yesterday you heard from Dr. Wada with the Santa Barbara County Public Health, who announced the joint media advisory we issued for air quality warning for Santa Barbara County. That warning remains in effect and it will continue throughout the weekend. The Air District continues to monitor air quality conditions throughout the county. We have a very robust network of monitors. Particulate matter levels continue to be high, obviously in the vicinity surrounding the fire, but also we're seeing high hourly levels in Goleta and Santa Barbara areas at times, and it is obviously very dependent on the meteorological conditions. So I did want to make everyone aware of where you can go and find your hourly air quality conditions. That would be at ourair.org. And I want to also reiterate the importance of using common sense. If you see or smell smoke in your immediate surroundings, you need to take action, take precaution. If you are elderly or young children, they are most susceptible to the harmful effects of particulate matter. So if you see and smell smoke, we recommend that you stay indoors. And even for healthy individuals, if you see and smell smoke, to limit your outdoor exercise. And I know that's going to be difficult when the weather increases, but if you can stay inside and if you're fortunate to have air conditioning, keep that on recirculation so you're not drawing in more of the particulate matter from outdoors. So once again, I do encourage you to pay attention to your local conditions, use common sense, and visit ourair.org. Dr. Wada and I are also available for any comments today. Thank you.
Now we'd like to open it up to a few questions if anybody has them.
Martinez with KEYT News Channel 3. Just getting back to the cause of the fire, our sources are saying that it's human caused. What can you tell us about that?
Who wants to direct the cause of the fire?
Currently under investigation.
Did they release the cause?
No.
It's under investigation.
I'm being told by the incident commander that it's still under investigation. As soon as we are able to release some information on that, we will.
So there's no idea. You're not leaning forward.
Right now, it's just still under investigation. So
Is it a criminal investigation? It is not.
it is not a criminal investigation.
What does this fire portend for the coming season for the summer? We have a lot of fuel out there. We've had below normal rainfall the past winter. We're in our 5th year of drought. What are you guys looking at?
I'll pass that to Santa Barbara County since this is their area. So expected fire.
I'm sorry, could you repeat the question?
What does this fire portend, if anything, for the coming the fire season that we're in? I mean, there's a lot of fuel out there. We've unfortunately had below average rainfall again this winter. We're about our 5th year of drought. What are we looking at here? I mean, do you think this is not so good indication of that we might have to face this?
Right. So the question is, what kind of portent is this fire and how it relates to the drought? And I'm not going to say it's not ominous. It is ominous, and we are concerned because the fuels out there are drought stressed. There's a lot of tree mortality out there that makes fire behavior worse. So the drought is making a already pretty volatile situation not any better.
Back to the cause of the fire. Initial dispatch, it seemed to indicate that it started on Rancho La Sherpa. Is that the case?
Yes.
Yeah, that is correct. So that's where it started, but the cause is still being under investigation. So somebody had a hand up here.
Have you talked to any local businesses that are concerned that they were also impacted by the refugio oil spill last year?
I think emergency management, we talked about that briefly.
The question was, what are the impacts on the economy, essentially, as a result of the fire and, of course, on the heels of the refugio oil spill? Certainly, that is a concern of the elected officials in the county and, of course, the emergency managers, that we need to do the best we can to get this fire out, of course, as soon as we can, so we can make sure that tourism's needs are addressed. It's a major industry in the county, and we certainly are all concerned about that. And also we have the economic issues associated with agriculture. Agriculture is an important industry in this county. It's $1.48 billion industry in this county, and we need to make sure that we're doing everything we can to protect that industry.
Earlier you mentioned
I'm going to invite the Agriculture Commissioner up to answer that. Robert Lewin, Office of Emergency Management, LEWIN.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Kathy Fisher, Santa Barbara County Ag Commissioner. As of 10:30 this morning, we have received reports of damage in the fire area, specifically the Benedito Canyon and Refugio Canyon. The commodities that are directly in the fire area include avocados, lemon, pasture land for cattle, and some olives. We're in the process of working with our commodity groups and gathering the statistics and information as far as what is the value of those losses so far. It's a very dynamic situation, so our growers are busy right now working with firefighters, creating fire breaks, and assisting one another in evacuating their cattle.
So we're going to wrap it up for questions, but we can definitely answer that afterwards. Before we wrap it up, so a couple websites we want to pass along that were passed on for information. So updates will be posted on the Santa Barbara County website. That's countyofsb.org. And also to sign up for alerts, awareandprepare.org, completely spelled out. And then last note, when we post information out or updates, and when it's coming through the Los Padres National Forest social media sites or the Santa Barbara County social media sites or the CAL FIRE sites, that's vetted information that's been approved through the incident. So when you guys see those updates and information coming out through those social media sites, please feel free to share those posts, those tweets. That information has been approved from the incident. So again, our folks will be here afterwards, so please come up to us and ask any specific questions. Thank you.